Good morning and welcome to Smart Mint Business. Mount Barigi this morning with Masik Sime. And definitely heading into the discussions of the day today. The Now Summit is on day two today.
Yeah, very good morning to you watching. Well, of course, yesterday we had the opening session of the Non-Alignment Movement Summit, and of course, 93 out of the 120 countries that comprise of the NAM actually were able to represent the different nations, and of course over 300 delegates actually were in Uganda as of yesterday, and of course more are coming in. Yes, coming today and tomorrow, and of course marking remarks with the Minister of Foreign Affairs for Internal Foreign Affairs actually, Jeje Dong gave his beginning remarks, and of course he acknowledged actually the state of the country, which is good. Acknowledging the state of the country, because I mean that is one of the things he said that they have to talk and look into.
Absolutely, very amazing. And taking a look at all these perspectives, geopolitical tensions, and taking a look at climate change issues, quite some of the key issues that were put across, and making sure that what is the position of the non-alignment movement when it comes to combating such perspectives. But of course, before we go into yesterday's discussions, it takes me back to the 2019 summit when Abidjan actually held this. And it was at the time where the world was actually having critical issues, most especially combating the COVID-19 pandemic. And quite a number of economic reforms were actually suggested during that time. Partly inclusive of the global economic governance, technology transfer, biotechnology transfer, financial inclusion, and so many more. Actually, there was a suggestion of formation of a NAM development bank when it comes to such perspectives, and this was particularly to combat the Bretton Woods institutions, that is the International Monetary Fund, talking about the World Bank and the World Trade Organization. But of course, developments have been quite a little bit slow in terms of that, assessing it from that particular side, that most of the discussions were centered around the geopolitical tensions globally. But now Uganda being the chairman, what is the chance that we shall actually balance the interests, the both social, political, and economic of the different member states? And I remember Uganda being chairman, it doesn't mean that entirely all the decisions are going to be taken by the country. They go through a consensus whereby all countries have to give opinions and views, and it's executed quite efficiently. But I believe some of the key discussions, like we saw talking at trade, actually investment, and debt. Because when you take a look at most of these countries, when you compare the debt to GDP ratio, is quite alarming, and with it clearly shows you that most of the developing countries, the developed countries rather, controlling the Bretton Woods institutions, use this as a chance to put us in what we call the debt trap. Most of these countries are put into the debt trap. So these are some of the key issues that actually the non-alignment movement can actually stand on to ensure that it's quite effective when it comes to operation. Now, another big factor I've also come to observe before we get into deep into these discussions is the difference in the priorities of the member states. That the composition, each person, we don't have a common aspect that joins us together simply because of the variations in the gross domestic product and income per capita of the individuals. For example, because we have some of the member states being part of the BRICS, the BRICS nation, which actually we shall also take a look at that, how the BRICS and the rise of NAM are kind of interrelated.
And the G77.
The G77. But it shows you that having India, and India is one of those economic powerhouses that are being looked onto this year 2024, globally. So that could be one of the huge chances that we can use to capitalize when it comes to a development of the institution itself as the alignment movement.
Well, of course, I must agree with you. When you talk about debt, actually, Tanzania in Uganda, in Africa, actually, as of the IMF, it has recorded the lowest debt burden. Tanzania, you can imagine.
Yeah.
Why? Because first of all, they invested more into. They actually focused more into investments. Yeah, that is why in Africa, you can imagine Tanzania, which was, nowhere, is now having the lowest debt in Africa, the whole of Africa. Why? Because they have dedicated more to investment, than other countries. So definitely, I believe we have a long way to go. Given the fact that we have now NAM and of course the membership, the chairmanship that we've been given, I believe it is going to be a shift of events. China. And of course, we have contradicting parties in NAM. Some are part of the G77, some are part of the NAM. And of course, when it comes to G77, there are issues in Uganda that we have with those members of G77.
Actually, I wouldn't think being part of NAM and G77 would be okay to me, but I would feel the biggest issue is finding member states that subscribe to organizations where there is no non-alignment movement country, neither there is a G77 country. For example, India being part of what we call the G20. That it's not, it's part of the G77, part of the NAM, but it's also part of the
BRICS,
G20.
even the BRICS.
Even the BRICS. Yeah, the BRICS, that would be fine because the BRICS are more of, because when you take a look at the G20, has a composition of capitalists, but at least the BRICS is entirely communist. I wouldn't actually mind. I wouldn't really mind because we're even seeing some other 24 countries that are planning to join the BRICS this year. Quite a number of them because of the de-dollarization campaign. But still away from that, the priorities when it comes to signing contracts, agreements, on what should be done, what should you do, because I believe at some point there is a dictation that you're part of the G20, but that means you have to catch a commitment towards NAM and also towards the G77. So now that's where the issue really comes out.
The balancing, you cannot...
the balancing in terms of where should you ascribe and commit yourself. And that is actually being evidenced in quite so many perspectives as we shall clearly see. So it's day 2. I believe the discussions are going to be, of course, yesterday was a little bit of introductions and so many more, and key issues were outlined as we're going to observe in our praise brief. Well, it's exactly 14 minutes past 7. It's not a men's business, and at this particular time, let's take a look at what's really making headlines into the praise. All right, as we head into the new vision here, we have the new vision and the Daily Monitor.
Well, of course, in the Daily Monitor, NAM and of course, Gaza crisis dominates day 1, and of course, it wouldn't go unnoticed. It wouldn't go without being addressed. The conflict that started last year that has affected some of the countries that actually do trade with one of these these countries that are into the crisis. Well, of course, at least 6 countries, a majority of Arab world, yesterday used the first day of the non-alignment movement in Munyonyo to call for inclusion of the Israel-Palestine conflict in discussions. And of course AG report busts bubble of coffee project. And of course, more conversations in the reflecting the NAM is what is dominating the Daily Monitor. So you can catch that if you grab yourself a copy of this paper.
All right, now as we get into the new vision here, we see the NAM summit as key issues are being outlined, seeing Kampala traders elated over the business prospects here. Now, also something here in the oil deal, Museveni Ruto scheduled to meet to discuss further those perspectives and why the members of parliament want the police budget increased, and why Tanzania also banned the Kenya Airways. So you'll be finding out more of these perspectives. Now, as we go deeper here, we see why the Uganda Wildlife Education center is a must visit for NAM G77 plus China delegates. And now the interesting bit of it, recently, when we were closing the week, I mean last week, we had the shilling a little bit stabilizing. And why was it stabilizing? It was because, of course, coffee exporters brought in some inflows, as there was some inflow of forex in here. And now, when you take a look at the NAM and the G77, why these delegates, when they visit, they're going to actually leave lots of forex here, you know, and also considering the aspect of signing businesses worth $1 billion. So, what is that? What does that really mean to our forex reserve as a country, Uganda? So I'm so really excited about these perspectives. The only issue I have is the transfer of these resources from the top and they reach the common person. They change somewhere. There is where the money gets lost. And because when these incomes come in, it will definitely register huge. The shilling is stabilizing, the forex reserves. We have stable forex reserves. They're stabilizing a bit. But the figures sound good. There is an increment in the reports. But when it comes to the down person, whom they call a Muntu, they don't really feel that. And now, seeing now Summit what Uganda stands definitely to gain. You'll find that out when Greg solve a copy of the Daily Monitor. And now Summit still seeks to address women's challenges. And now this is a quite was rightly experienced during the women. That is there is a trade expo that is happening, actually, the trade forum that is happening at Serena Hotel. And some aspects of women in business also in there. And now we take a look at Uganda woo's foreign investors at the business forum. You'll find out more of this. And the Kampala traders elated over business prospects. Right there, when you grab yourself a copy, you'll find out what that really entails.
Well, of course, Andrew, as the NAM was taking place, well, the president of the National Unity Platform was addressing. Also, he was addressing issues, you know, amidst this whole thing, and he was like, he was actually crying why they were demolishing houses ahead of the summit. So, he actually said
they wanted to do that. Make the areas look good.
I know. To him, it was a bother. I mean, because most people actually, you realize most people were displaced. But I believe it was poor planning. It was in the wrong.
Prior.
They were
The one prior, because I remember even when during the festive season, because there was along the areas that is Gaba Road. Most of the people were complaining that Kampala City Council already came and, you know, they told him that if you don't have the buildings right, they're going to. But if you're running a business, because at first it was simply paint the buildings so they look good. If you can do renovation, put some concrete around, and you're a business. I think you've been operating for some time. I think. And it was prior. It's not that it was just abrupt on, let me say, 12th of January, and they invaded them. I think it was a prior warning for them. I would a little bit try to also sympathize with the people that need to enforce.
But it's so coincidental why he addresses it the day one of the summit.
The day one of the summit.
Yeah. I mean, he had time to come and you know address this. Yeah. And of course, traffic remains calm on Entebbe Road as NAM starts. And of course, you could see there was actually order yesterday. I expected a lot of confusion along the roads, but there was order, there was traffic moving on.
Some areas.
Yeah, it was there, but orderly. Yeah.
All right, now here we see more rains expected in central western Uganda. And that brings us to the end of our press briefing at this particular time. Now we head into our traffic update, our traffic report this morning. And according to what I'm observing, that looks to be a Ginger Road traffic lights. Let's take a look as we observe. Of course, there is tight security all around Pala, checkups, you know, as you're coming inside. It's supposed to be, it's not just a walk over as usual, just like that. Yes, exactly. That is we are the one against traffic lights. That's Makere Road that we're observing up right there. And, well, it's dimly congested. According to my observation, I can see vehicles held at the Makere main gate. and some few towards the main traffic lights as you're coming towards one again. But the situation looks being under control. And being the fact that we're into the summit of late, traffic officers are quite early into, unlike before, and so they take charge of the vehicles that are moving in and out. Yesterday, we witnessed quite a huge saga of most of the borders that were being actually confiscated by the police due to reckless driving, in all perspectives. So if you're a border rider, you need to be quite very careful, most especially in such times. But this shouldn't only just apply to being careful in such times, but all the time. It's wild. Now, take a look at the vehicles that is coming in from Kampala Road, heading towards coming to Wandega. You can also see the taxis are coming one by one, and quite some other few public vehicles witnessed there. But it's not really too much congested. If you're coming in from Kampala and you're heading to Wandega, you might really spend just about 10 to 5 minutes if you're on already from Kampala Road, because you'll be held in the traffic by the traffic officers for about 5 minutes. Then you proceed to other related destinations. Probably some are heading towards Mulago, Ntinda, Kamocha side. The carrying really passengers on that particular side. Now, as we also observe the vehicles coming in along that is Mulago route, away from the Mulago roundabout, and they're heading towards Kampala. We can also see maybe we're not seeing a vehicle that is crossing over, so chances are high that probably they are being held right there by the traffic lights, or some are just held at the Mulago roundabout, which also stretches in within up to Kubili that side, next to Prophet Kakandi's church, right there. So if you're coming in from those areas, you'll likely be delayed shortly a little bit. So let us see now. Let us see. Yes, exactly. You can clearly see from afar a bit. There is some little slight congestion out there. And for the people that are using the Yusuf Lule Road and you're probably planning to come to one again, there is a shortcut. You can use the Kafu Road. It can take you within and branch you off from that side. And you will reach in actual time, you land around public service thing. I think you slow down. Then before you know it, you will survive the Lago Jam right there. And you come the side efficiently. So that is the situation, how it is standing like that for the residents in those areas, and for people that coming in from Bombo side. Actually, we have the Bombo Road just also next there, which is normally congested too a little bit. According to my observation, yes, I can see vehicles held there. This is going to take time, and for the people reaching the city center. As we speak, it's not heavily so congested, but at around 8, 9, there will be quite some congestion because there are checks everywhere. So you can see a huge fleet of vehicles coming in from the Bombo route, coming towards Wandega. Well, that brings us to the end of our traffic report this particular morning, and it's 25 minutes past 7. Andrew Barija and Marcy Katsumi here on Smart Means Business this morning on the 16th of January 2024. Let's take a short break, and when we return, we have Caribbean, East Africa, and international updates. Stick around.
Smart 24, driving business.
And in talking news, MTN has improved on their data voice bundles. You can now call across all networks for the same price. We've talked to several eyewitnesses on the ground, and this is what one of them had to say.